Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Veritas. I'm Dr. Lachin Hatemi here. We have James Richardson here, everybody knows him, and Scott Fowler. So we're going to have a new episode here. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics, interest to us and to you, hopefully. So let's start.
So one thing that I've always wanted to know about James and Dr. Hatemi is y'all have a lot of experience in the medical field. And I'm sure you've had some crazy stories and you've seen some really interesting things come through the exam rooms. So let's start with Dr. Hatemi. What's an interesting thing that you've seen in your medical career? What's something that's happened that kind of blew your mind?
A lot of things. There are so many stories, but there are a couple stories that you can never forget, and it kind of sticks with you. I have one case, and usually a lot of them are work accidents for some reason. A lot of things involve construction workers. I had this one Hispanic gentleman who couldn't even speak English, just Spanish. And his friends, I think you were there that day. James actually was there that day, and his coworkers dropped him off by himself in our lobby to be seen by us. So I walked into the room, and there was this metal piece stuck here between his two eyebrows, right here. And it was not bleeding. It was stuck there. So the story was he was cutting a tile, and the metal piece that cuts the tile break off. And it just went and got stuck in there and with full force. And he was stable enough. We were like, okay, let's do an x-ray before we send it to Scott. James did the x-ray that day. And it's a miracle. Literally, we did a lateral x-ray. And it literally stuck in the middle of the sinus. If it went down 1 inch to the left, he will lose an eye. If it went 1 inch to the right, it will lose another eye. It went 1 inch deeper, it will stuck in the brain and cause major brain injury. And it will go 1 inch below, it will cause a significant cartilage damage to the nose. This guy, I don't know, we will call him lucky or unlucky, but he really dodged the bullet. He was stable, it got removed. He got away with a couple stitches, but I still to this day cannot believe that guy was dropped off at an urgent care. That was one of the cases. James, do you remember anything else? What stands out for you?
I want to know what happened to the guy.
His was good.
Did he walk out?
We gave him a lot of pain medication. We gave him a shot of pain medication and antibiotic. And his wife came after all, and his wife took him to the ER. We didn't even have to call the ambulance. Actually, he was stable enough to actually go to the ER and get it taken care of. But we saw the patient. It was interesting.
Do you remember him saying anything? Do you remember anything about that story, James?
I remember how casual his coworkers were when they dropped him off.
Just can't step a little bit up. Excuse me.
Yeah. They were dropping him off like they were dropping him off to pick up a lunch special or something. It was no sense of urgency or anything. I kid you not.
This guy didn't have something sticking out of his forehead.
Literally, some stick out like a unicorn. They were like, "Oh well, it is I'm today. Call us after lunch. We'll come pick him up at some point."
I have deep respect for those guys. They usually don't speak English. Most of them don't have any legal papers. They work very hard. And, we treat them, they don't complain. They just go through it, And, if it happens to any one of us, we'll be crying on the floor. They take it like a champ. They have a tough life and they're used to suffering. They have a high pain threshold. And I admire the toughness, You have a deep respect for this working man. And I hope, they never suffer at the workplace like these two. So always wear your glasses, your goggles, safety gloves,
PPE every night.
Protection, my friend. Don't skip it. You always wear your gloves, your mask, and everything else.
James, so what's an interesting story? Actually, let's start with your military experience. Veritas. What's something interesting you see before you came to Lexington?
A little bit of everything. We'd have people come in with, of course, gunshot wounds. We'd have.
So were you overseas?
I was never actually overseas. That's the interesting part. I joined to go and fight for my country and see the world.
So the gunshot wounds were here.
They were mostly here.
Oh, wow. Here.
What probably one of the most unique was it stands with me to this day. It was national news at one point. A gentleman was separated from his military wife. She was the service woman. He was the dependent. The husband, he was
So he was not in the military.
no, he wasn't military. I guess they had a small child together.
Mm-hmm.
The daycare that they were dropping him off at was like a quarter of a mile away from my hospital. And he decided, because he was not happy with their separation, to take it upon himself to take off a loaded weapon and go discharge it at a daycare parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the woman, she passed away. She was killed. This gentleman decided to, in his grief, realizing what he had done, decided he did not want to go to jail and attempted to take his own life. Unfortunately, the way he discharged his weapon was in the most incorrect way. So he was allowed to bail, but he actually did expire. So by the time they brought him to our facility, which is just up the road,
So now you're on the case.
Yeah.
And he's been brought on.
Yep. And this is a dependent who killed one of our fellow soldiers.
Wow. And because he was a dependent, that's the reason that he was brought into your facility. Gosh.
He could just say we were less than happy with him. And I remember him probably getting him to live more roughly than we normally would have. But at the same time, he literally just opened fire on a loaded parking lot full of children and killed his wife. But yeah, that's some crazy stuff. That's probably what's some military one, though.
Yeah, we'll get back to your Lexington experiences. So, Dr. Hatemi, you were in med school in Kentucky and then New York?
And I did my residency in New York, Buffalo, New York.
So either med school or residency, what's something like a house moment or something interesting?
I would say two cases stands out the most. I think both of them was two guys doing yard work, and they were like cutting brush and then burning the brush, and they happened to burn poison ivy, and they inhaled. So I never seen that kind of a poison ivy exposure. That was a case. I mean, he stayed in ICU for a long time. I still cannot forget that one case. Another case is kind of a sad. This guy, a drug addict, he was shooting up cocaine, and one night, I guess under influence, he came up with this great idea. I guess he ran out of veins to shoot up. So he decided to shoot up in his penis. Where one thing about cocaine is it's a vasoconstrictor. So he cut off the blood supply to his penis. So he turned gangrenous. We had to actually amputate his private part. That was not having a good day.
Oh,
Well, but you know, back to the urgent care, I guess James will probably agree because we work side by side every day. You see a very different side of people's lives. First of all, you know things about people no other people know about. Also, you see the demographic changes in your area. Like we are a very busy clinic, right? And when there's a county fair, a state fair happens in downtown, our volumes drop. And magically, like every year, like our patients volume drop 10, 15 patients a day, more or less than what we usually. If you're seeing 50 patients, it drops to 35. If you're seeing 70, it drops to 55. So it tells me how popular is the state fair.
Yeah.
And also people go broke. You know, people always have a difficult time paying their copays during that time because they spend all their money on that funnel cakes and turkey legs, right? That's very interesting. Also, we see the demographic changes. You know, when you need a doctor and when you're new in the area, you come to urgent care. Like you are from New York and you need a blood pressure medication and you cannot get it in New York. New York doctor cannot call it in. So you come to urgent care. Hey, I'm new in the area and I need this medication. So you see the movement of people. And we see, and James will probably agree, a huge number of people coming from New York, Long Island. I mean, there are whole neighborhoods of New Yorkers in Lexington, South Carolina. I mean, it is ridiculous how many people. Even in the 5 years I have been here, I see a huge shift in demographics. I see a lot of international people from overseas. I see a huge number of New Yorkers moving in. It's crazy.
Yeah, so if you're a New Yorker and you're watching, we might be interested in having you on the podcast. Reach out. I'd love to be able to talk to someone and know what it's like
to compare it Lexington, South Carolina with New York. What's the differences? But people like it here. I guess Lexington is becoming very popular with people.
Yeah, what's up with people have you been seeing coming in over the change since you've been at Veritas?
It's definitely been a big insurge of people from New York. I want to say we even get some people, surprisingly, from places like California, even Florida. people coming from Florida. Usually you think of people moving to Florida.
Florida's gotten very expensive.
Yeah.
And crowded too, I believe. So, too many people. Yeah, Florida. We are becoming the second Florida. It's still good weather, but not as crowded and cheaper.
Yeah.
For now.
Low cost of living.
And it might change, so I guess the voting block of people are changing too, Your subdivisions, we have a lot of professionals from foreign countries, a lot of doctors from overseas, professors from overseas. I mean, I see a huge number of Indian, Asian, Turkish, Iranian, they're increasing, which is not bad, I like international diversity. I think it adds to the fabric of the place. I'm not against it. I just don't want people to change their way of living here. Even if I'm from Turkey, I'm also a Southern boy. I lived in the South all my life. I'm like freedoms, and I like less government intervention and all that. But
yeah, you've been here since you were 17.
I'm 17, Kentucky. Some people don't consider Kentucky as South. And James, he's from Alabama, so he's even deeper South than us.
It's as deep as it gets.
It's deep South. But I think South is the new frontier in the United States. I think a lot of people like the Southern living. I think there are a lot of good things about it. I think it'll be going to be very popular day by day.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that kind of leads into my next question is, let's say you have to save someone's life from New York. What's the time where have you ever saved anyone's life, James?
I mean, say it good about the lives.
Yeah, I would assume so. So yeah, what's a situation that sticks out in your head?
I mean, we had a guy come in. I want to say he was working as a plumber. He was doing something with I guess they were trying to dig up a floor, and they were using a particular saw, which I didn't really realize plumbers use love songs, but they were getting through the flooring, and at some point the saw bounced back up and hit him in his chest cavity, and it opened him up like a turkey from Thanksgiving. And again, in their divine thinking, decided to come to urgent care, step to emergency room, and this gentleman was walkie-talkie, and he had a whole segment of his chest split wide open, like he had been bifurcated. His coworkers decided to actually just leave. They dropped them off and they left. I don't know what they were doing or what their thought process was, but it took a lot of internal and external stitches for him. Yeah,
So, go ahead.
We had a new case last Friday, actually. A kid, 19-year-old, came to our downtown clinic to see Dr. Clark. And he told me, he was like, I'm constipated. I have abdominal pain, probably constipation. He was kind of lead Dr. Clark to a wrong direction. And Dr. Clark didn't buy into it. He's very experienced and ordered a CT scan. He was looking after something. The kid ended up being acute appendicitis. And Dr. Clark sent him to ER. And that kid, if the surgeon said that if he didn't go that day, he would perforate it the next day and he would die.
Mm-hmm.
So that saved their life, just being diligent and giving the right direction to the patient. And this was a 19-year-old with some mild abdominal pain. And, it could easily be missed, and Dr. Clark didn't miss it. He got it and he saved their life.
Yeah, perhaps if someone went to a different urgent care or a different doctor, they may not have caught it.
Another thing, I think it's like what they catch at the urgent care. I have patients with primary care doctor. Remember, we had one guy with the lung cancer we diagnosed. He had a primary care doctor. Another guy complained about ringing in the ear for months. He went to ENT, he went to his primary care, he went to emergency room. And then in the end, he came to me, he's like, I need a solution. Nobody's helping me. And I asked him, questioned him. And after I realized, the specialist didn't do his MRI of the brain.
Mm.
Unfortunately, we did the MRI. Fortunately, we did the MRI, but unfortunately, we found a brain tumor.
Mm.
And it was missed by 3-4 doctors, who saw him for the same complaint, which is kind of sad, you don't want to find this out in an urgent care setting,
Yeah, that's unusual.
Yeah, but
it seems to happen more often than you might think.
You might think, I mean, we cover a lot of patients. I mean, primary care, we don't do primary care that much, but I mean, we almost do primary care because we have the only doctor a lot of people see.
Yeah, you guys are the only doctor that I have, so I consider you my primary physician.
A lot of people don't need to have primary care doctor, but they utilize this urgent cares because it's convenient, right? But James, I mean,
For me,
yeah,
we were just talking about that earlier.
So James, one last thing about urgent care, like what kind of interesting things you see on the daily basis? I mean, it's like a reality show, right?
It is. Whenever we have new employees, we always tell them, like, just expect anything. The best way to get ready for the day is just expect anything. Somebody could come up with a cough. Somebody could come in with the hand cut off. We just had 2 people last week come in with random animals that just attacked about the blue.
So random animal attacks. Tell us, James.
Random animals.
We see a lot of them last 3 days, right? A lot of dog bites, cat bites, skunk bites. I mean, you name it. I mean, we see a lot of bites, animal bites. So maybe they're becoming mild, I guess.
I think one of my most favorite ones was last year. We had a family that just moved here, I think from like Virginia. They were just talking about how they were getting used to like eating grits and sweet tea because I guess their part of Virginia didn't have any of that. The first weekend the children went out and played in some random like backyard spot, they got attacked by wild raccoons.
It's not funny, but it's funny. The raccoon was trying to just say, welcome to South Carolina. You guys are here now. What an introduction.
And of course, we made sure they had all their proper vaccinations and give them antibiotics and set them on their way. They're just as happy.
We set our fishing actions, they throw the fish hook and they just catch themselves. We moved a lot of fishing hooks. A lot of other species. We see a lot of like poison ivy. Poison ivy is one of the big ones. Fireworks accidents after 4th of July. That's a big one here.
You guys ever see anybody lose a finger?
I found out, whole finger.
Not a whole finger, but it's hard up. People are cartoon stuff. They'll like blow something up and their whole hand will be black when they come in.
I didn't see that one yet. But we see quite a bit. We see, and like we have we see a lot of mental disease, which is kind of weird because, urgent care people shouldn't be coming for like psychiatric meltdowns or panic attacks
but they don't know what to do.
Yeah, but there's nowhere to go, I think there's a huge deficiency in places we can go for psychiatric help, As psychiatrists went to the dark side, they won't see anybody without insurance. Or even if you have insurance, you won't be seen if you have Medicare or Medicaid, and then their private prices is like $500 a session, it's out of reach for a lot of people. It's a sad case for mental disease, a lot of suicidal ideations and panic attacks and stuff. Unfortunately, we cannot treat them properly,
Yeah, I know a psychiatrist who charges $300 a session, and they're considered cheap.
Oh, yeah. $300 is cheap. I just sad, dermatologists, impossible to see. We diagnose a lot of them in our clinic. GI is hard to come by. But overall, we do a lot of work, people. James see everything. James is our trouble solver. If anybody, like any patient is disgruntled or mad, we call James because he's the most patient person in our clinic. He's the nicest. He's the best temperament. He goes and smooths things out. And he does, I have people, they want medication refills and they don't see me for almost a year and they're mad that we wouldn't give them medications. I'm like, well, you need to see a doctor to get refills. We cannot just keep refilling it to you.
Yeah,
sure. And a lot of times it's really for their benefit. And it's tough for people to grasp that when they're not medical. We have to remember that too. Like folks who come in, I think we had somebody come in just 3 or 4 days ago. They hadn't been seen in almost a whole 2 years, like 21. And they were really upset. They were, well, the doctor, he's my doctor. How come he won't refill my stuff? And I had to go up and explain it to him. We want to refill your stuff, but the stuff you need, you may not even need it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important to get checked up at least once a year because we need to do blood work, check your blood pressure, your weight, all that basic stuff.
A lot of medication you need to do blood work, and people just want to get it because they don't want to do blood work, and it's not possible. In diabetes, we have to see every 3 months to check their A1Cs. And, that's you need to keep an eye on. And that's a huge deficit there. A lot of people we've diagnosed with diabetes in the urgent care. They don't even know they have diabetes. They come, they're feeling dizzy, their vision is all blurry, they're tired, they lost a lot of weight, and then we check the blood sugars and A1C, and 13, 14 points on the A1C, and I'm like, you have diabetes, and you never knew about it.
Yeah.
And we diagnose a lot of people like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we see everything. We see everything. We get a lot of ups and downs all day long. Nothing gets boring, right?
So speaking of reality TV, you guys ever seen any fights?
Between patients and family members, we have one patient called the police on us because we wouldn't refill the medication. And I think the police arrested the patient. So the same police he called in arrested the patient because he was like loitering in front of our clinic, telling people do not come to this clinic, kind of acting up, and then police came and solved that problem. So thank you very much for the town of Lexington police.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job, and thanks for protecting us. Yeah. I had people threatening me, like they will hurt me because I didn't give their control substance, benzodiazepines. They get very aggressive. And the DHAC is cracking down on controlled substances.
It seems to be a common problem for you guys that people come in trying to get these controlled.
Oh, yes. We have criminals. We have very shady characters come to our clinic. They're like, and then we looked them up, we go to the police database and looked them up, and the guy just literally got out of the jail from drug possession. Literally coming here, and they're like, my neck hurts, I've had the code on. I was like, no, you're not getting anything. And they get disgruntled, and I'm like, we get, it's a minority of patients, but not really surprising. We see everything, everything. We work with a lot of victims of human trafficking. We help them get off the drugs. this is something I'm passionate for.
So what's an experience you've had seeing someone being trafficked?
Someone being trafficked is usually a very interesting situation. You can spot them because they usually have a companion, and chaperone try to control the situation. They talk for the patient. There is some interesting interaction there. So we called police, and we acted on it in the past that I worry about there's a human trafficking taking place, mostly women that are forced into prostitution. We can kind of tell the way they want to get tested for certain things and the behavior they display.
So it seems like generally it would be a woman who comes in, and then there's a man there, and he's doing all the speaking and talking, and she seems a little scared, nervous. Because, if someone's coming in with their boyfriend or husband and they might be anxious, that's a pretty normal thing for the partner to talk. But then that person doesn't seem to be acting anything weird. So I'm sure you guys are picking up on those signals.
Yeah. You're picking up, it's almost like, because we deal with so many people, like we can pick up on cues very well. Like we can tell who's there for real reasons, who's making up for symptoms. James is very good at reading people. We've been in this business as long as we are. Literally, they won't tell me what to do. And it's kind of interesting human psychology experience,
Yeah, how often do you see it, James?
It depends on the situation. It's really alarming whenever you come in and you have like a young lady or a child, and they're with an adult male. And sometimes it could be adult female, but usually it's adult males. And the adult male wants to pretty much do the whole conversation. They don't even know where they're hurt at. And when we do ask where they're hurt at, they'll look to the person that's booked in the adult male, and he'll actually speak. So it's just little things like that just, it makes it already uncomfortable, but it makes it really suspicious.
So have you had a situation where you actually found someone who was a trafficker that was reported?
We've had some we've alerted the doctor, and he's went ahead and looked into it. He would check the demographic information. We can do just a little information check. Half the time they don't even want to pay insurance. Sometimes that's a big giveaway. Because typically everybody has insurance for their child at least. But little things like that are just things that we look for, like to fill the red flags. Now those who are just there for Bane stuff, like the doc says, like the guy would just commit a whole crime and want to come in, Usually they tell no tells we walk in the door.
Really? What's that giveaway?
When they come in, they start throwing up medication names, but then they all of a sudden tell me they don't know the medication. Like, I'm here, I'm hurt real bad. I got an elbow pain, but I'm here for some fentanyl, I think is what I got. Like, sir, it's fentanyl, you know what it is.
And we can see the database. There's a state database, and it's actually nationwide too. I can go in with your date of birth or your name, and I can find out what prescription you filled in. I have one patient today asking for a controlled substance, and I look at like, you got 90 pills of oxycodone literally 5 days ago. You shouldn't be asking for any pain medication. You have enough pain medication to put a horse down.
Yeah.
And they were asking for it, and they know. When you confront them about it, they know exactly what they have been doing. They are very well aware of it. A lot of these guys show up in the last minute. Like if you're closing at 8, they show up at 7:30. Yeah, it's a trick they learned. They think that because it's the last minute, we will do anything.
We'll just go through the motions.
Yeah, we will skip some steps because we want to get out of the clinic, so we want to give them whatever they want. And we don't fall that trap. Actually, it's the exact opposite. If you come at 7:30 and seeking pain medication, I will get triple suspicious, and I'm looking to every single corner. I will drug test you, everything. I'm not going to contribute to opioid epidemic. We fight that epidemic every day with our drug addiction program, and I'm not going to contribute to that epidemic by dishing out pain meds. I think that's a big problem right now in this country. People are using, it's not just narcotics, like benzos, Xanax, diazepam, Valium. These are more dangerous than opioids. People don't pay attention as much to those, but I think they are very worrisome medications, especially mixed with alcohol. And you can stop people on that, and if they don't have access, they switch to street drugs, and fentanyl kills a lot of people these days. And there's out there on the streets, and we try to fight that. But, there's a small percentage of our patients. Most of our patients are, people struggling, respiratory issues, UTIs, x-rays, stays busy, James is taking pictures all day long of your arms, people injury, your legs, all kinds of stuff. Chest x-rays for COVID patients.
Whenever I come to visit Veritas, I rarely see James because he's always working somewhere. He's there. He's in his examiner, he's in the x-ray room.
Everybody get bored real quick, so I gotta stay moving.
And everybody come in and they say, you need to keep that guy. They see James, you need to keep that guy, you need to give him a raise. I say, okay. I'm gonna, for your information, I pay him very good. And he's not X-ray tech, he's actually clinic manager. So he's the clinic of our entire clinic. So he's actually management. He's the guy in charge in our Lexington clinic, and he makes everything work.
So he might be taking your temperature, but he's also managing.
Yeah, he's managing our clinic. So everything in that was today in Lexington is his responsibility. Yeah. So that's the gatekeeper of everything. But we've been working very good. We are very efficient. When you work with somebody, you become like almost taking like same brain. He understands better what I'm thinking. I know what he's thinking. We just work as a great team, and it's a fun job. I think you'll be bored. I think you'll go to withdrawal if you like. I cannot see you doing X-rays in a hospital, and you'll get bored. You'll get bored.
It gets repetitive really quick.
You ever found anything interesting in an X-ray?
Actually, we just had somebody come in. A dental facility called us about 3 or 4 months.
A dental facility?
Dental facility. Okay. They were like, hey, Dr. Timmy, please, we need you to look at one of our patients. We think we may have dropped a drill in this person's mouth.
Okay.
Yeah. Never seen that in whole 21 years.
They might have swallowed a drill bit?
They actually dropped it. They'll drop the tool, drop the whole little drill bit.
Right. We've seen that actually more than once. I've probably seen it 3-4 times.
Yeah.
That just dropping like drill bits in the people's body. So it's very small. When you think about it, it's very small.
It could be scary.
It can be us. And they usually come in, we do a chest x-ray because we have to make sure that it's not actually in the lung versus in the stomach. And we could tell off the first picture just like that.
And we take serial pictures. I come back tomorrow and let's see which part of intestines, make sure it's moving. Patient is not really influenced. And we follow it through the final product, they usually do good,
Yeah, I think we only had one where actually it was debatable. We said, look, we might even see to the hospital because it wasn't clear that what fit.
Yeah, it was you don't want to aspirate the drill, but no. We can get in big trouble.
Oh my God. I think the one time I got really upset, it was actually just recently. We had a gentleman, he was an older gentleman, he was actually 60 years old. He came in with his wife. He had been physically assaulted. And it was just such a sad story. His son-in-law actually physically assaulted him.
In church. And while he was holding the grandbaby.
This is in Lexington?
This is, we're assuming I guess it was somewhere in the Lexington area, but it
was at the Lexington clinic.
Yeah, this guy, nice guy, he's actually holding his grandbaby, and the father of the child, hit him from the back because he was protecting the baby, turned his back. And I cannot give names for privacy. So that was heartbreaking and was in a lot of pain. Think about it, you cannot defend yourself, you're holding your baby. So he took a lot of hits on the neck and by the torso. That was a sad case. We see a lot of traffic accidents. At least couple a day, people like neck pain, back pain, all kinds of
stuff. I came in from my traffic accident. You had some pictures and everything. Yeah, I had the seat belt bruises on my stomach and across the front.
And that's actually what we see a lot of too. Seatbelt actually sometimes does more damage than the actual heat drive. So,
and it's kind of usually it hurts more a couple of days later.
Yes, that's what happened to me. That's why I came in.
We got that ribbon stripe across your chest.
Yeah. 2 or 3 days later, they might have an accident. It usually takes 48 to 72 hours to get muscles into spasm after an accident. And so people are like, oh, ambulance came and I didn't have any issues, but then guys hurting like crazy. They're all stressed out, and they come to our clinic. My advice to those people: get treated, but get a lawyer, because insurance companies might not pay for your medical treatment. So it's always very good idea to secure a lawyer for your traffic, even if as minor as it sounds. Get a lawyer.
I was in a really bad accident 2 years ago, and a person's wheel fell off and they hit me at 55 miles an hour. Yeah. And I'm sure Dr. Hatemi doesn't remember because you see car accidents, but you told me I was lucky to be alive because at the last minute I swerved. So instead of a head-on collision at 55, they hit me on the side. Yeah. But I was really beat up. My arm was bleeding. All the airbags went off. And they had an insurance card. And so I actually contacted a personal injury attorney, and it turns out they did not actually have insurance. It was a fake card. But I'm so glad that I had it underinsured, because it covered all my medical expenses. Because I ended up getting, I thought it was a hernia, but it was just internal bruising out, a hematoma was what it was called. But I had to do a CAT scan for that, and that was pretty expensive.
I mean, with the physical therapy, orthopedic appointments, possible surgeries, and seeing basic doctors, it adds up. So make sure you see a lawyer and then your medical expenses are covered somewhat. They do a much better job negotiating with the insurance companies. I think you should be aware of.
Yeah, I never even had to speak to any insurance company because I spoke with an attorney. They said, don't even worry, we'll handle it all for you.
Also, workman's comp, we get a lot of people get re-injured at work, but they don't want to file workman's comp. That's, first of all, it's a fraud. You have to file with your workman's comp, not your regular insurance. Also, it will hurt you in the future because you don't file it under workman's comp. If it's a serious injury, they will not pay for it. Mm-hmm. And they can deny it, you never reported this. So don't play that game. If you got injured at job, just file the proper paperwork and go see your doctor. You can see us too under your workman's comp insurance, not private or cash. I think that's a big pitfall.
Have you ever seen any workman comps fraud come through?
We see,
like, my back hurts, I'm trying to get out of work situation.
It's usually where people are honestly, they're usually just kind of ignorant to the way workman's comp works. And then that's usually where I get called at. The young folks up front will tell them, hey, you just said this happened at work. And the second he say that, we're obligated, legally, we have to file that workman's comp. But the problem will be, they're either not wanting to do it because they're probably doing something wrong and they have some in the system, or they're worried that workman's comp will turn to a big mess. But really, it does pay off in benefit, like the doc says.
I mean, sometimes they have some controlled substances shouldn't be in their system.
They've been actually using drugs while they were working or surrounding.
Or it's not as hardcore drugs. You would like smoke weed the day before or 2 days before, and it's still in their system.
Did they test for drugs in a workman's comp case? Sometime. Okay, so it's up to the strictly area's employer.
It's all your boss.
So also people
You're not even asked for it.
Yes, I feel like a lot of people don't even know that. Then they might think, "Oh, I'm going to get drug tested if I'm at work," but that might not actually be the case.
Usually so.
Yeah, they may or may not. Not always the case, but a lot of the cases. But that's interesting thing we have to deal with. We get anything you name it, you will see a doctor for. Like we have like a mini emergency room. Nothing surprises us. It is weird stuff, you know. I get a lot of people want to get tested for mold.
Really?
Yeah, those are a lot.
Mold?
A lot of it, yeah.
You don't get mold. You get infections from mold, right? How does it work?
Black mold, that's the key one we see a lot.
And we don't really test for it, so that's a really kind of interesting spot. And non-COVID is one of those interesting ones. There's really no test. We see a lot of that. It can be complicated. There's a lot of things like there's psychological and social reasons behind people get seen. And we wanna maybe we have to read through between the lines to understand people. A lot of them food poisoning. I always get people out at the McDonald's and I'm in diarrhea, and you give me something I'm allergic to. You know, they read the news. They saw that $10 million settlement, and people think they're gonna get rich, so they come to me after they ate in a restaurant and have an upset stomach. No, sir, that's very hard to prove. Yeah, good luck. They won't pay for it. You know, we see a lot of that. I mean, it's just like ridiculous things. I mean, one of us, like, she was allergic to potatoes, and then they give him potatoes by French fries by mistake. And I'm like, why did you even eat the French fry if you're allergic?
That's pretty crazy. I mean, she outright went to a facility that a good 80% of the menu was starchy potato base. So it's like, man, come on now.
And so I think she was really allergic.
And it was funny because that patient actually called the lawyer when we are in the office and when we are in the patient room, and she's like, I have a rent due end of the month, well, I'm gonna get money. I'm like, if you think like you're gonna settle this case like before the rent is due, good luck, my friend, good luck. And we get a lot of that. We used to see a lot of lies coming out of schools. And lies cases are always very interesting because we bring them in from the back door. It's very like hush, you know, because a lot of people freak out about the lies cases. Scabies. Yeah, scabies is a big, even my employees, some of them refuse to. Sorry, we have to, we have to, just we are brave bots. We will treat anything, you know, they don't care that.
You ever seen anybody break up in any relationships end in the doctor's office?
Oh, I could be multiple stories.
Oh yeah, I want to hear one.
I think one of my favorite is we have a patient. He's actually paraplegic.
Okay, paraplegic.
He doesn't even walk, and he has come in at least a couple times with his. We're not even sure, but I guess she's a significant other.
Someone he might be in a relationship with.
Someone might be in a relationship with. He has openly admitted that he's found relations outside of his current situation.
Okay,
put it that way.
Okay, so he's been with other people
while they're with
and he likes to tell you guys.
Yes, with his partner. While again, emphasis again, paraplegic.
Mm-hmm.
So how is he performing this act? Because he can't even get up to the bathroom to get urine from him. But she has broken up with him every other time. Every other time. It blows my mind because it's happened at least twice.
And I love what they tell you guys.
Yes.
You know, another one is the STDs in nursing homes. Really? I mean, it's crazy because you have the woman to man ratio is bad. There's like 4 women to 1 man.
Yeah, because the ladies usually live longer.
Yeah. And it's convenient, they're in the one roof. Food is always there. So you don't even need to take out your significant other to a date. Just walk down to the cafeteria and then eat that fried chicken. Yeah. It's convenient, you have a lot of options. So STDs are very rampant in nursing home population. Yeah, huge.
Right here in Lexington, guys, you heard it.
STDs in nursing homes.
Wow.
We get a lot. We are a clinic right by USC. Mm-hmm. And it's so different than our Lexington clinic. I mean, the stuff we deal with, the cases we see a lot of people want to come get tested for drugs because they went to 5 Points the night before and they think they got roofied. There's a lot of that. So be careful, ladies, don't get drinks from other people. Don't let strangers buy your drinks. We see a lot of those cases that girls come and say, I don't remember what happened to me last night. Something was in my drink and, it's scary, your daughter going to a fight where, we had those cases, girls got murdered in 5 Points, they got into the one vehicle.
It was a fake Uber driver.
Pretending
to be in it.
Yeah. I was always like, so CSI, that was really bad.
Yeah, it's just crazy, like the drinks, like they put you in, I mean, certain bars are more notorious than the others.
Are you able to test for roofing?
We have a drug testing. We do actually run drugs here. Nobody uses Rufal. I mean,
I know now.
They just look like Xanax, like pencils,
just benzos.
Yeah, I mean, Rufus is just the name we use. There are other commonly used drugs. People that use it in the drinks and take advantage of the young ladies. We get a lot of trauma, like people get punched in the face. They don't even remember who did it or when it happened. They wake up with like busted lips and stuff. I treated a couple of those.
Got fights last night.
Yeah. I get a lot of people when they get swapped for STDs, throat swaps, because they had oral sex and now they're in a sore throat. That's kind of messed up. A lot of bad decisions. A lot of young people in a place that they're away from their mommy and daddy, they think they are free to do anything. Our downtown clinic get a lot of phone calls from parents. Oh, my kid, like, do this, do that. They're kind of like helicopter parents, like they try to manage the care from away. And we try to help them as much as possible. I mean, we want to be their doctor on site. We do a lot of things. James is perfect how to handle this without, any tricky, thorny issue we have in the clinic, James is the one who gets called into the group. He's a troubleshooter. He shoots a lot of Trump. He's one who takes care of it, when the patient is angry, patient is being disrespectful to front desk stuff, and he comes to the rescue.
Send James in to the tough cases.
I think one of the most difficult ones I've seen so far with the USC clinic, we had a young lady came in, brand newly open, the first couple of weeks. She was underage to be drinking. So that right there was already an issue. But she admitted, just like Doc says, that she went out to one of these facilities. She had an open beverage given to her. And she was with a group of friends that were celebrating for a party. And it just so happens when she went on that night, she said she couldn't remember the majority of the night or the next morning. So they brought her in, which they were right. Because if you do go out somewhere, please make sure that if you're feeling like you got taken advantage of, come in and get seen immediately. But this young lady, she was in quite a pickle. She was scared because she didn't want her parents to know because she had her insurance. So we did. We talked to her. We told her, we said, hey, we can see you. We can test for substances, and it is strictly confidential. But at the same time, you may want to still talk to your parents because this is a very adult situation where you just put yourself in.
Yeah. And usually certain bars. So if we're going to keep track of it.
Yeah.
And if you see more cases, consistent cases from a bar, I've got to report them to the police, so they keep an eye on that facility.
Or we might call you out, so watch out.
Yeah, I have no problem. I have no hesitation.
We're looking for correlations.
Yeah, especially vulnerable populations and kids, young kids, I'm not going to allow anybody to take advantage of them. So beware ruffians, or whatever they call them, certain bars are their hunting grounds. So we were exposed we will reveal them to the general public. But all in all, it's just the basic stuff. Cold and flus. My throat hurts and this. A lot of injuries. Young girls walking with high heels, they just hit the tripping. They break. I've seen one broke both ankles, and both of them. And then how that happened, God knows. We get that a lot. Another boxing accident, like fist fighting accidents, and you name it.
Sounds like you guys have seen just about everything.
A little bit of everything. We see quite a bit. And we grow with the patients. I get this Facebook notices like, no, your 4th year anniversary. Some of these patients that we know from day one, we have been seeing them for 4 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, when they saw us, they were pregnant, the kid is now in school. They are like, that's very much true. It makes me feel old. And James goes to grocery stores, they get ambushed by the patients. Oh, James, how are you? And James sometimes may not know the patient.
Yeah, but I'm sure you guys see so many people today that you often have trouble recognizing people.
It happens, but to some degree, I know I personally usually remember something, especially if I'm x-rayed, I usually remember something.
James remembers you if he's x-rays you guys.
Definitely.
It's almost become a family members too. You know so much about them. You see them so often. You see the changes in their lives, and you see how they changed themselves. It becomes this special time. And James is very good at getting blood from people and sticking them with needles. So people request James on. I'm one of them. This man has a way to pinch you in the butt and give you the injection that you don't even feel it. He has a special trick you learn in the military, so you don't feel any pain. So James is a specially requested individual for butt shots.
Pinch your butts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for butt shots, ask for a chain.
You want to feel the needle. You have to be very gentle with you. And he's good at getting the IV lines too. He doesn't need to stick somebody multiple times. He's very good at getting it. I guess I can give it to your medic days in the military. And
my special training, I had to stick a lot of drummer heads after time they were off duty in the barracks.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us, especially James. Thanks for coming in. Dr. Hatemi, you guys have amazing stories, as always. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, which is now Apple Podcasts. And if you guys have any health issues, check out VeritasUrgentCare.com or just walk on in to the Lexington or downtown Columbia Clinic. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you.
Bye, guys.